Okay, everyone, today we're going to find the value of expressions with negative exponents. Folks who have Mrs. Otsuka, I think you're going to find this really helpful when you do the assignment she has for you in IXL, which is F7. I think this could help you quite a bit. It should at least get you into the 70% range for that. Okay, so make sure you are writing this down. You can write this title down at the top of your paper. Pause whenever you need to. If you need to have a little time to catch up. But I'm going to try to go through this quickly so that if you need to repeat it, that you don't have to wait for me in between. So just pause it whenever you need to. Okay, here we go. So if we have an expression such as, let's say 3 to the negative second power, what that really means is that we have 1 over 3 to the second. So if we want to change this negative exponent to a positive, we have to switch the position that we find the 3 in right now. Right now, if you think about it, the 3 was in the numerator, right? So we're going to have to take and switch its position. It's going to have to go down to the denominator, and the exponent's going to go with it. And when the exponent goes with it, the exponent is going to become positive. Okay, so now you can work this out, which is what you're going to do on that IXL, Mrs. Otsuka students. So we know 3 to the second power is 3 times 3, so we get 1 over 9. So when you have a negative exponent, you actually have a fraction. You do not have a negative number. It's just a way of showing that you have a fraction. Let's take the next one. Let's say we have 8 to the negative 1 power. Okay, so if we want to write that using positive exponents instead and just work it out, let's think about where this 8 is located. Is it located in the numerator or denominator? Well, there's no denominator, so we can give it a denominator of 1. Now if we want to change that negative exponent into a positive exponent, the whole value, the base and the exponent, are going to have to bump and change position. So they're going to have to go from the numerator down to the denominator. So your 8 moves down to the denominator, and when the negative exponent does too, it becomes a positive exponent. So we've got our 1 on the top here, so 1 over 8 to the first is just 1 over 8. So again, having that negative exponent does not mean you have a negative number. It means you have a fraction. So you might be wondering, like, okay, well, how are we getting all this? Where is this coming from? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background, and then we'll do some more practice. Let's say we were doing some powers of 3. Let's say we did 3 to the third. Well, that's equal to 3 times 3 times 3, which equals 27. Then let's say we had 3 to the second. Well, that's 3 times 3, which equals 9. Now let's say we had 3 to the first. Well, that's just 3, which is equal to 3. Think about how we're getting from 27 down to 9. And if we're going to do the same thing to get from 9 down to 3, what's actually happening there if it's the same rule each time? We're dividing by 3. So 27 divided by 3 gets us to 9. 9 divided by 3 gets us to 3. So let's do that again. Let's divide by 3. So the value of the next thing that we'd have in this pattern is going to be 3 divided by 3, which is 1. So the next thing that's going to be here, we're going 3 to the third, 3 to the second, 3 to the first. It's going to be 3 to the 0 power. Well, 3 to the 0 power is the same as 1. I think you already learned that. You definitely learned that with me, and then I think you already learned that with Mrs. Otsuka as well. So then, well, what's the next value going to be? If we go to the end and we take 1 and we divide it by 3, divided by 3, that's going to equal 1/3. 1/3 is literally 1 divided by 3. Remember that fraction bar means divided by. So what would be our next exponent in the pattern? Oh yeah, 3 to the negative 1. So that's telling us, again, we're bumping that 3 with the negative 1 to the denominator. So we have 1 over 3 to the first power, which is just, like we said, 1 over 3. 3 to the first is, okay, let's do it again. Let's divide by 3. So if you take 1/3 and you divide it by 3, 1/3 divided by 3 is the same as 1/3 times the reciprocal, 1 over 3. So that comes out to 1/9. So let's say we have 1/9 here. Follow the pattern on the left-hand side. That's going to be 3 to the negative 2 power, which is going to be 1 over, if we bump this whole thing down to the denominator, 3 to the, now our exponent's positive, 1 over 3 to the second, which is the same as 1 over 3 times 3, which gives us the 1/9. So I hope that gives you some understanding as to, what's going on here with these negative exponents. When we have negative exponents, that's when we get values that are fractions. No, oops. Where'd that come from? Oops, I don't know what just happened. I have no idea what just happened. Man. There. Okay, I don't know what just happened, but anyway, it's gone now. So yeah, when you have negative exponents, you're just writing a fraction. All right, let's try a few more. So we did 2 before. Let's call this number 3. Let's say we have, I don't know. Let's do 2 to the negative 4 power. Well, in order to make this negative exponent into a positive exponent, we have to shift the position. So this right now is in a numerator. We're going to have to bump the whole thing down to the denominator, the whole thing. So when the 2 is the base, that bumps down to the denominator, and then the exponent does too. When the exponent bumps down, it becomes positive. So we get 1 over 2 to the 4th, which is the same as 1 over 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Which is 1 over, let's see, that's 4, 1 over 4 times 4, so 1 over 16 is that value. Let's try another one. Let's try, let's see, let's do 6 to the negative 3 power. So again, this is in a numerator right now. We're going to need to bump the whole thing into the denominator. When we do, the base stays the same, the exponent goes positive. That shift in position lets us change the sign on the exponent. So we get 1 over 6 to the 3rd, which is 1 over 6 times 6 times 6, which gives us 1 over, what is 36 times 6? Let's see, is that, so 36 times 6. Sorry, I can't think right now. I've got to actually use my calculator. So 36 times 6 is 216. So 1 over 216. Okay, last one. Let's say we have 5 to the negative 4 power. So again, this is currently in a numerator. We're going to have to bump the whole thing to the denominator. When we do, we keep the base. The exponent, however, gets the opposite sign. So we get positive 4 as our exponent. Make sure you put a 1 on the top there because you can't just have blank space. So we have 1 over 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. If we work that out, that's 25 times 25. That gives me 625. So that's what you get when you evaluate that and work it all the way out. Okay, so I hope this has helped you understand a little bit about negative exponents, and that negative exponents represent fractions. All right, have a great day. Make sure to take a picture of your work and submit it. And please be sure you included that little chart we did, the one that looks like this.